Hello, everyone. I am excited to be with you guys again today. Happy Tuesday, everyone. So, today I was feeling like talking about a subject that I'm very passionate about. And let me go ahead and go live on Instagram before I forget. Here we go. Okay, I'm multi-streaming right now just so you guys all know what I'm talking about. If I'm reading comments, there are going to be some comments coming in from multiple platforms. So, I wanted to talk about manifestation. And the reason why this is such a fascination of mine is because the life that I have today is most definitely a manifestation that has happened because where I started and where I am now, there's a very, very, very huge difference. And I've always said this to you guys on lives, and that is I will share more about, my past and where I've come from and things like that, not for any other reason than to give you guys something to kind of base everything that I'm saying on, right? Because a lot of people can talk about all these amazing things like, oh my gosh, I have so much money, or I have great relationships, or I have amazing body and amazing health. But that doesn't really mean a whole lot if you already had that. And I'm not discrediting people who are gifted. And let's say, for example, you were born into money, or you're lucky enough to have amazing people around you who gave you good examples of good relationships and stuff like that, right? That's amazing. Great. That's something that is definitely a gift. But what about the people who didn't grow up with good examples? What about the people who grew up with lots of trauma and bad examples of relationships? What about the people that are not in the body that they want to be in? The people that need to, lose extra weight or put on more muscle in order to get themselves where they want to be with their health? What about the people who didn't come from money? What about the people who have always struggled with money, and their family struggled with money, and no one in your family has ever really had financial freedom and financial independence? That is what I'm talking about, because it is a lot more challenging to go from nothing to something, right? Because of course, you're going to have to become a new person. You're going to have to change your belief systems. You're going to have to change your identity in order to get to where you want to go. That is one of the most beautiful things about growth, in my opinion, is our ability to change and mold ourselves as human beings, because we're so adaptable that we can basically have anything that we want if we are willing to go through the process and actually change our identity and our belief systems to match that. And then, of course, align our actions. So let's define, I would say, first, what is manifestation, right? Because the reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this is something that I think is so misunderstood. So many people, when they hear manifestation, they think that we're just talking about wishful thinking and basically somehow getting something out of nothing, right? And a lot of people get this mixed up, and then they end up thinking that they're manifesting a certain life, but really they're wishful thinking. And then they don't get what they wanted, and they say manifestation doesn't work. This stuff doesn't work. Well, that's not the case. If you really understand these things, it does work. You just didn't do it correctly, right? So manifestation is simply taking an idea, a dream, a vision, and bringing it into the physical. Manifesting. Bringing something that was once an idea, once was energy, into matter, into the physical world, right? It's literally that simple. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Like I said, I'm multi-streaming, so I'm going to be looking in a few different places. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Hello. Okay, so like I said, this is a very misunderstood topic, and that's why I wanted to touch on this today, because I know from personal experience, because I've gone through a lot of roadblocks myself in this space, because I used to be, I would say, more so in the wishful thinking, hoping that things would happen and then not understanding why my life wasn't changing. So the beautiful thing about manifestation is that, yes, 100% it works, but you do need to understand the behind the scenes, you could say, of what does this mean? What is manifestation, right? And like I already said, it's not just wishful thinking. It's about aligning your thoughts with your belief systems that will most definitely change your actions and how you show up. There's the missing key. That is where most people go wrong, because most people can sit on the couch and wish for $1 million. Anybody can wish and hope that they had a better body, right? Anybody can do that. But not everyone does the work to actually change their identity and change their actions. That is what is actually going to get you where you want to go. And it's really not as hard as most people make it out to be, because I know that the world wants you to think that getting the life that you want has to be so challenging. And I think that that is because people either don't understand it, or they're projecting their own belief in difficulty onto you to make you less likely to actually do something and get the result. So if you really want to change your life, then you have to first assess where you are and your belief systems, number one, right? So this is where journaling exercises are very powerful. This is where meditation is very powerful, because you can sit with yourself and figure out what's going on inside of my mind. What are the belief systems that I'm running? What is the story that I'm running in my mind every single day? I like to use journaling practices and a practice that I like to do is, what do I believe about health, for example? There's a lot of people that believe going to the gym sucks, exercise sucks, being healthy is hard, or maybe this problem, let's say, runs in my family and therefore I'm probably going to get it. Those are all belief systems, because we can change that. There's literal science now proving epigenetics is a thing, meaning you can rise above your genetics. No matter what your family went through, no matter what all the people in your life that you've seen have gone through, that doesn't have to be your story, unless you believe it. Then it will, because now you're basically choosing. You're choosing into that reality by accepting that as truth. So that is what I'm really trying to, I think, bring to people's attention, is the fact that whether you believe it's true or not, you're right. So don't choose into things or believe into things that you don't want to actually become your reality, because it will. And this same thing happens with money, right? People will believe things like, oh, well, my family never made money, or they were bad with money. They didn't know how to invest. They didn't know how to do these things. So therefore, I'm going to be that way. Yes, if you believe that way, you are going to. And that's very normal, because you have been taught to act, speak, and be a certain way with money. And if you don't change it, then why are you surprised when you get the same result that all of your family and your friends and everyone else gets? That's called insanity. There's systems and laws that run this world, and it's not abnormal when you get the result because you followed a specific system, right? If you jump off a building, you're going to fall to the ground. And none of us are over here arguing, oh my gosh, why did gravity work that time? It's a law, it works. So it's not about arguing if the law works. It's about you understanding, are you actually living by the law, or are you trying to push against and fight what is actually going on, right? Learn how the game of life works so that it can work in your favor, instead of getting angry, defensive, mad, and blaming everything else around you for the reason why you don't have what you have, or you don't have what you want. It's a waste of energy. So, like I said, I'm here to bring this to your attention and to your awareness, because I know that this stuff works, but I also understand that there's a lot of places where people get stuck because they don't really understand how it works. And that is why I'm here sharing this, because I would love it if someone would have shared this with me early in my journey, because then I probably would have been, I don't know, maybe in a better place sooner than I am now. Right? Which is fine, because I'm very happy with my life now. There's nothing wrong with where I am, but I'm just saying we're here to evolve and grow so that we can become better versions of ourselves. And so the next generation, of course, hopefully, will be even better than we are, of course. So, like I already said, I'm going to share this practice with you. This is something that's very, very helpful for myself and many other people. And that is first becoming aware of your beliefs in the different areas of life. Where do you currently believe? What do you currently believe with your health? Like I already just mentioned. Do you believe everything's hereditary? Do you believe that any sickness or any disease or anything that your family had, that's what you're going to have? Okay. Limiting belief. Let's talk about money. My family was bad with money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are bad. The list goes on, right? Limiting beliefs. Okay. Relationships. No more good men exist. There's no more good women that exist. All men are this way. All women are this way. Limiting belief. It's just a fact. Or if you want a certain thing, let's say, and you just believe it doesn't exist. You want a certain type of partner, but you don't believe it exists. Limiting belief. You have to understand where your mind is limiting you if you really want to see changes in your life. I feel like I need to tell a story here because I feel like this connects a little bit better with people when you tell a story about something. Let's say, for example, when I was 19 years old, this is when I first started learning about manifestation, about belief systems, and I wanted to get a job at a specific gym here in the area, right? Because I was just certified as a new personal trainer. And so I applied for a position at the job at the specific location that I wanted. And at this specific location, they were not hiring any trainers at the time. And I wanted to work there, one, because it was close to my house, and two, because the best trainers in this, the owners of this gym, right? They all worked at this gym. And I wanted to learn from the best trainers, right? So everything about me was like, I need to get a job at this gym. Everyone told me that it wasn't going to happen because they were not hiring, right? But I told myself, I'm going to get a job here because this is where I want to work. This is where I want to be. So what did I do? I wrote in my journal every single day. I was telling myself, one second, guys. I was telling myself, I'm going to get this job. I would visualize myself working there, teaching classes, doing those things, right? And I just had a feeling like I'm going to work there. I thought it was just going to happen, right? Even though everyone around me told me it wasn't possible, that it wasn't going to be a thing. Fast forward, right? I got a job there. And of course, this is just one example, something even kind of small, a small example of this. But what I'm trying to make clear to people is that of course, there's going to be things that you visualize and that you want, and maybe it doesn't happen, right? But you must keep your vision. You must believe it. Believing it even goes beyond just like hoping. I'm not talking about hoping. I'm talking about a feeling of knowing that it's going to happen. That is where the game changes for most people. And here's another thing that I've already mentioned. If you are wanting something and believing something, your actions will follow suit. For example, if I wanted a job at this gym, but I didn't apply, I didn't put in the work to even visualize it, put it out there, show up there, right? And do what I needed to do so that that could actually happen, then it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to be like sitting on the couch. Oh, I wanted the job here at this gym. How is that going to work if I don't also align my actions with what it is that I want? Okay, so I hope this is making sense. It's about your thoughts aligning with your beliefs or your knowing that it's going to happen, and then the aligned action. And this can be very challenging, especially if you're just getting into this stuff and you're just learning about manifestation, because there's a lot of people around you that are probably going to think you're crazy. And that is why it's best if you often keep things to yourself. Don't tell people about the things that you're doing. If you know that they're going to doubt you and maybe even scare you or call you crazy, that's only going to make your life harder. So keep it to yourself and let people watch you get the things that you want. Because then eventually they're going to come to you and be like, how did you do this? How did that happen for you? And then you don't become the crazy person anymore. You become the person that everyone goes to for advice and asking how they can do it too. But until that happens, That's weird. Until that happens, then of course it's going to be challenging for you to stick to it, because obviously people around you are used to you maybe acting in a certain way or believing a certain way, and they have this old identity of you in their mind, and maybe it's your family, maybe it's your friends or whatever, and so it's going to be new for them to experience a different version of you, a different way of you communicating, acting, and being. So be prepared for that. I'm going to go ahead and look and see if we have any questions here really quickly, guys. Give me a second. Okie dokie. I'm just checking. We have a bunch of comments, but I don't see any questions. Hello, everyone. We have, one of my friends I believe she's from Russia. She says, I want to know English so I can understand you. Oh my gosh. That would be so cool. I wish I could learn a lot of languages really fast, because it would be really amazing to communicate with so many people. Hello, TikTok. I have so many things coming in here, so it's going to be a little bit challenging for me to answer questions. I'll have to do that more toward the end. So my friends on TikTok, please be patient with me, because there's way too many questions right now for me to answer all of those in this live. Okay. Alrighty. So for those of you who just joined in here, we're talking about manifestation. What is manifestation? Why people get stuck with it, because they think that it's just wishful thinking. It's not wishful thinking. It's about aligned thought, energy, and action. And now I want to share a little bit more of the spiritual, energetic side of this really quick, because this is also very, very powerful and very important, and that is frequency and energy. Something that I learned, once again, like many years ago, was when I started learning about vibrations and how important your emotional state is, because how you feel is putting off a certain energy and a certain vibration, right? So when you are in a, more positive mood more of the time, you are literally at a higher vibration, and things move quicker at a higher vibration. So if you are currently in a place where you want to manifest a certain thing, money, business, relationships, whatever, and you want it to come faster in your life, you must also align your energy and try to bring up your vibration, because that will literally make things move quicker in your life. Everything is energy. So the reason why this is so powerful too, because let's even explain that even a little bit more, because most people will just be like, okay, so I need to feel happy so that I can get the thing. I need to feel good so I can get my person. I need to feel good so I can get the $1 million. It's not even about that. The whole reason why manifestation works when you feel good is because finally you release the resistance to needing something else outside of you to make you feel good. It sounds like an oxymoron, right? It sounds like, why then? That's weird. It's like I need to feel good to get the thing. Why? Because life is trying to teach us that you can feel good, you can have joy, you can have freedom, you can have peace, you can feel abundant, and you don't need the other stuff outside of you to make you feel that way. You can have a thought that brings an emotion, right? If I asked you right now, imagine that you're being attacked by a shark and it's biting you and all these things, right? And you visualize this in great detail. You're going to start feeling fear. It's going to alter your emotional state. You're not in that experience, but you can feel fear, right? So you can use your mind to bring on an emotional state. The same way that you can imagine an amazing memory with family, with friends, or whoever, and you can have an amazing feeling, good feeling, right? So you don't actually need the external world to change around you in order for you to feel rich, or in order for you to feel good, feel happy, feel peace. It just means that you have to understand that everything that you're thinking is bringing on an emotional state. And you find freedom when you stop needing everything else to change for you to feel some type of way. And that, ironically, is when the life that you desire actually comes. Literally that fast, because you have now removed resistance. And now your life will start to change. You're going to show up differently. You're going to feel inspired to take different actions because you're not now being driven by fear and all of the other things that make people more likely to not take action toward the things that they actually desire because you're being held back. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Let me see here. Nothing but prosperity and happiness. Yes. So yeah, those are the main things I would say is use your journaling practice or something to first become aware of where you're at. Assess where you are, where your belief systems are, where your thoughts are, where your energy is primarily throughout the day. Do you feel good more of the time, or do you feel more stressed and depressed more of the time? Because that could also be a sign or a reason why you are having a harder time bringing the life that you want, attracting, manifesting, right? The life that you want. Okie dokie. I think we've already answered most of these. Hello. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So I gotta close out here because I gotta go to the gym. But to close, I want to say that, just to recap what I was saying earlier, in order to change your life, the number one thing that needs to change is your thoughts, because everything starts with a thought. And when you repeat a new set of thinking, different thoughts that go through your mind, it changes your belief systems. Thoughts repeated change belief. Belief changes identity, and that changes your actions and your energy. So it's the perfect combination. So your energy and your frequency changes, which it changes what you're attracting into your life, what's going to be coming toward you, what's going to choose you, all the things. And then your actions are also going to align. So we need both. We need the energy alignment, and we also need the action alignment if you really want to change your life. And bringing the thing in is just one thing. And then keeping it, that's a whole nother thing, right? And we'll talk about that in another video, because that's a whole nother topic for another day, because that is part of I think one of the other things that people don't really discuss very much, and that is keeping the manifestations, right? Okay. So thank you guys so much for joining today. I will be back again in a couple days. I'm not going to make any promises because I do have traveling on the schedule this week, so it's going to be a little crazy, but I will see you guys again soon. Bye.